Well, good morning and welcome to another Wine Steward video. Got to find myself here. Look at this beautiful dark wine. I mean, it is beautiful to me in a lot of ways because I had a lot to do with growing it and rendering it into wine. What are we talking about? Many of you are anticipating the new vintage of something that we've done before for this store only. The Wine Steward is the sole carrier of a wine called Domaine de PdV, and what we call this thing, this bottle without a label, there's an industry term for such a thing. This is a shiner. This is a shiner awaiting its new label. In other words, we're going to have those printed up and sent to us pretty soon. And then let's give this a couple of weeks of settling down, as we just bottled it 2 weeks ago, and we'll bring you the 2025 Domaine de PdV. This is a blend of Syrah, Grenache, Carignan, Mourvedre, and a little bit of Muscat, of all things, all co-fermented. And this year is especially saturated in appearance, very dark and beautiful, a lot of material in there. I can't even see through this wine. It's smelling very good. I opened it 2 or 3 days ago. I'm checking in on it every now and again just to see how my baby is doing. Pretty soon you'll all know. All right, just as a little preview of a shiner version of Domaine de PdV. It'll be decorated soon. Let's tell you about what's coming up next week. Many of you know, and many of you have already signed up, but we do have plenty of room remaining for the next 2 events. They're only 6 days apart. We hate to promote 2 events at one time, but this is when these guys could come. In other words, who are we talking about? Each one of these events will have a very important personage, a human other than Jim, leading the way through a bunch of very good wines per a certain theme. Next week, Tuesday the 14th, we have none other than Pierre-Jean Villa here. Pierre-Jean Villa is one of the greatest winemakers of the Northern Rhone. He's made wine for other people, and more recently he's got his own project and deserves to. Everything he does is very, very nice. We did the Southern Rhone a couple of weeks ago, and those were Grenache-based wines. Here come the beautiful Syrahs and gorgeous whites of the Northern Rhone. This is his Saint-Joseph. We'll be having, I think, 2 different vintages of this. That'll be a fun comparison. The cool thing, though, is that Pierre-Jean himself will be here. And what he's also going to be showing are the wines of a proud papa. In other words, he is the father of Hugo and Pauline. Cool names. And Hugo and Pauline are named on this label. This is the label of sister and brother. So we're going to pour 2 or 3 of these Hugo and Pauline Villa wines as well. And Pierre-Jean will tell us all about them. So sign up for that beautiful Northern Rhone events. We're going to get this, well, I don't have it in front of me, but we'll be using the nice New World Pinot Noir glass that night for these gorgeous wines that you want to smell and smell and smell before you finally indulge in a taste. It's going to be a very good event. 6 days thence is on Wednesday or Tuesday, Wednesday the 22nd. I think I have that right. You can always go to thewinesteward.com to find out and to sign up. This is the theme. We're having a guy named Sasha, who doesn't sound very Australian, but he is, in fact, very Australian. We need an accent to lead the way through these wines of Torbreck, one of the most awarded wines of Australia. We don't do too much with Australia here at the Wine Steward. People kind of OD'd on those inexpensive critter labels a long time ago. And other people might imagine that most Italian Shiraz is overdone and eucalyptusy and over-oaked. Torbreck is anything but. Torbreck is very elegant wine. Yes, it's full of flavor, fully ripe, but these wines from the Barossa Valley are exquisite in form, and they get the critical reviews too. They get the ratings. So all the way from Cuvée Juveniles, which prices in the 20s, all the way up to Rundrig, and yes, we're going to show Rundrig. That's probably a $230 or $40 bottle of wine. Throughout that whole lineup, you get goodness. This is very Rhone-oriented too, because virtually everything Torbreck does is with Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. There's a very beautiful Semillon that we'll also have. That's a Bordeaux white grape, of course. But we're gonna focus on the Rhone wines of Torbreck. Torbreck, the people who own Torbreck, more recently purchased a winery in New Zealand in Martinborough called Escarpment. And it'll be really, really fun to show you 2 or 3 wines from there as a counterpoint to the more full-fruited, ripe wines of Torbeck. We're gonna have a gorgeous Burgundy like Pinot Noir. We're gonna have a gorgeous Burgundy like Chardonnay, and a zinger of a Sauvignon Blanc that's not all gooseberry and grapefruity like so many from down there are. It's more elegant, I would say. Look forward to Torbeck plus Escarpment. That is on Wednesday the 22nd. I hope I have that date right, and you can prove me wrong by going to thewinesteward.com to find out and sign up. Great events coming up that are very deserving of you wine wanderers. Let's tell you really quickly about a couple of wines that are happening on our WineBar menu. The ever-changing WineBar menu changes every Monday. This is a red wine that people are really enjoying. It's tucked between other ones in the red wine flight, and yet this is making people happy. People are happy, I can tell, because they're going home and with a bottle. This is working for them. This was, in fact, according to this little tag on the last year's Wine Spectator Top 100 list, and it's inexpensive. I mean, I think your wine club discount gets it well under $20, and it's called Las Pizarras, and it comes from a very beautiful part of Spain that very, very few of you have ever visited, because people just have never heard of Calatayud and don't know what's going on there. Well, this is the land of cooperatives. This is the land of Garnacha. Garnacha was born here, well, virtually here, like a couple miles away in Cariñena, they say. But Garnacha territory, old head pruned Garnacha vines supply this wine, as well as the fun addition of maybe 20% Syrah is in this Las Pizarras, a beautiful wine for grilling. You smell it and you think it's going to be big, and it is big in character and flavor and nice ripe fruit and a little fresh ground black pepper perhaps. But the fun thing is the acidity is there, and it's medium to full-bodied in the mouth. It's fresh red wine, really nice with anything grilled. Go out and grill once this rain has gone by, and anything, veggies, chicken, pork, it'll be great with anything with a little bit of smoke and char on it. All right, Las Pizarras. That's the only red wine I'm going to tell you about per the flight, because I want to focus on the white wine flight a little bit. We are going to challenge you a little bit. First, with a Riesling, and many of you are saying, screw that, I'm not having that flight. Please do as 63 people at Andy and Hughes did the other night. When we had a dinner over there, we partnered up with Andy and Hughes, and the first serving was with Riesling. No Riesling after that, but we had this wine as a welcome wine. And it was amazing how many people loved it and bought it. You can tell that a wine is successful based on sales, of course, and that happened to here, Poets Leap Riesling from Washington State. A virtually dry, they call it off dry on the back label. It's under 1% residual sugar, and so it's very not detectable as far as sweetness goes because of the high, vibrant acidity in the wine. This Poets Leap Riesling is going to be liked by anybody who's brave enough to try this Riesling, okay? Just saying. The nice thing about the next 4 wines in the flight is there's a little comparing to do. We are going to start you off with a Pinot Grigio from Ca' Montini, from way up north in the subalpine foothills of Italy. This can be called Alto Adige. It can also be called Südtirol, because the Austro-Hungarian Republic existed here not much more than a century ago, and so German was spoken. You see German and Italian on the street signs, in fact, here. So it's kind of Germanic, kind of Italian, definitely Italian politically. But Pinot Grigio, of course, is a very, very Italian white grape, isn't it? And from certain areas like Venezia, they're fine, they're okay, they're serviceable. From here, where you have slopes from which the more nutritious soils have long since eroded, and you got more mineral for the vines to work on, you get mineral in the mouth. Very vibrant, refreshing, zingy, minerally, kind of like licking a rock if you ever care to do that. It's really pristine, Alto Adige Pinot Grigio. What's fun is you get to compare that with a Pinot Gris, same grape, by the way, they just give it a different name. Pinot Gris from Oregon, from the Willamette Valley of Oregon, comes this Coeur de Terre, and it's a new one for us. And the really cool thing is you're gonna have the same grape twice, even though it has 2 different names. Pinot Gris from Oregon is known for being a little more velvety, a little more mouthfeel. No oak going on here, but it's just a little softer and rounder. This is meant to be pristine and lean and vibrant, and this is meant to be a little more comforting. Okay, so the fun thing is comparing the same grape, right? All right, and then we're gonna do the same thing with the grape Sauvignon Blanc. We're gonna take you first to Bordeaux for Chateau Clausset. This is a traditional Bordeaux recipe of mainly Sauvignon Blanc with a little addition of Semillon for a skosh more room in the seat and thighs. Do you remember that commercial? I am old. This is Chateau Clausset, mainly Sauvignon Blanc from Bordeaux, and it is lively and zingy. I'm saying that a lot, but that's kind of the theme of this flight. And then we're gonna have to finish off the flight the exact same grape variety that is 100% Sauvignon Blanc this time from the Loire Valley. This comes from an area, can we read this, of Coteau de Ginois, and that is perhaps not well known to you. There's only about 500 acres of vineyards planted there, but it's virtually next to, just north of, a much more well-known place called Sancerre. This producer, Berthier, does in fact make Sancerre, and to provide people with something a little less expensive because it's a less famous region, we have this Coteau de Ginois. And it is just as good as Sancerre, I believe, and you're saving a good $10. As you know, you lovers of that wine are spending over $30 a bottle these days, and it's nice to find something that is $22.99, and that's before your wine club 10% off discount. So indulge in the quality of Sancerre at a lower price by being brave enough to try something, region you just haven't heard of yet, Coteau de Ginois. It's delicious, it's a fun comparison with the Bordeaux, and that's part of the fun of wine, right? Everything should taste different from what you've just had. Unless you like sameness. Who likes that? Come on. Thank you very much for everything you do here. Keep up the good work. It's a little slow out there and in here because of spring break, so we need you who are in town to come on in and utilize your local family-owned wine shop. Keep us afloat, will you? Thank you.